Most of the YouTube real estate pundits out there either A, don't understand the California real estate market, or B, lying to you simply to get clicks. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Living in California channel. I'm Rich Fleming, your local realtor, and I'm here to teach you everything you need to know about living, working, playing, sleeping, eating, whatever in California, and especially the San Francisco Bay Area. I get a ton of people who reach out to me with questions about what it's like to live here, how to transition here, what they need to know before they get here, and I absolutely love it. That's why I do these videos. I have moved places and not known anything or anyone before I got there. So if you've got questions, drop me a text, give me a call, send me an email, because when it comes to helping you transition to California, and especially the San Francisco Bay Area, I've got your back. So to understand the California housing market, you have to understand three fundamental things about California. The first is that the population of California isn't rapidly declining. Now, what is true is that the number of people moving out of state is exceeding the number of people moving in state. But the difference between those two numbers really isn't that great when you consider the overall population of California. The other aspect is the population of California is still growing just due to births. The second factor to understand is that California really does have a significant housing shortage. So depending on what source you use, California is somewhere between 1.1 million and 3.5 million housing units short. So a third factor is just a change in some of the demographics of not only California, but the entire country. Baby boomers are living longer, and when they do start to move out of their homes, that will be a significant impact on the housing market because baby boomers are the #1 holders of real estate. Other factors impacting the housing market is just how people live their lives has changed. The number of people who are single is far higher than it has ever been. And that means you need more housing units. In the popular media and in a lot of YouTube videos, you will hear that the driving force behind California's housing shortage is government regulation, making it too difficult to build homes, and the cost of land and labor. And don't get me wrong, those are significant factors in the housing shortage, but I'm going to argue that they are not the driving force behind California's housing shortage. I'm going to argue that the driving force behind the housing shortage is NIMBYism, not in my backyard. A lot of housing development historically in California has been driven at the local level, and it requires zoning and permissions from local government. And a lot of areas in California have pretty much had a no growth or very slow growth strategy for decades. And why is this? Well, residents in those areas go to their local planning commission, their local city council, and say, hey, oh, the traffic's too much. Oh, you're changing the character of the town. I don't want this development, a mile away from me or what have you. And responding to their constituents, they either outright ban development or just make it extremely difficult and costly to get through the process. And when that happens over so many cities, over 5 decades, you end up with millions of housing units that are needed throughout the state. So to highlight the power of this problem is that if you look at the numbers, Arizona, Florida, and Texas, all states with smaller populations than California, each issue about 2.5 times the number of building permits that California does. That is just not sustainable in a state with 40 million people. So what is the state doing to address the challenges related to NIMBYism and the housing shortage that it causes? Well, the state has passed dozens of laws. I mean dozens and dozens of laws to try to address NIMBYism and to take some of the control for development out of the hands of local planners. Now, this has caused concerns about local control over what their community looks like, but the strategy California seems to be implementing is, hey, you can either decide how you're going to grow or we will dictate to you how you grow. And we'll see how that turns out. But the slow or no growth strategy that hundreds of California communities have used over the last 5 decades is not sustainable anymore, and the state is really cracking down on this. You're seeing an example of this by the state suing or threatening to sue a number of cities that try to restrict housing development. Some recent examples of potential NIMBYism that the state has threatened to sue cities about? Well, in the town of Woodside, they tried to declare most of the town mountain lion habitat to prevent new development. The state said that's not going to fly with us, and Woodside has backed down, but we'll have to see what kind of development happens there. That is a very affluent Bay Area, Silicon Valley area neighborhood, so we'll see what happens there. In Elk Grove, which is a city near Sacramento, a developer went to the city with 2 housing proposals. One was for development for market rate housing, and the other was for housing for the homeless and the very low income. The city approved the market rate housing, but did not approve the other project. And the state is suing them for discriminating based on income and people's housing needs. In the city of Huntington Beach, they have denied the ability of people to build duplexes on lots zoned as single-family homes, even though state law mandates that they allow this. And they also have not approved a single accessory dwelling unit, essentially known as granny units, on a single-family lot, which is also state law required. So the state is suing Huntington Beach. It is a fine line to walk between local control and NIMBYism. And I will argue, unfortunately, over the last 5 decades, NIMBYism has really controlled development in California. And that has caused the significant and severe housing shortage that we faced. So I personally give the state a lot of credit for taking action to hold cities and towns accountable to make sure that they're doing their part to address the housing shortage in California. It isn't possible for cities to push the problem onto other cities. Everyone's got to take a little bit of responsibility in solving the problem. If you have questions about anything I covered in this video, or you'd just like to talk about potentially relocating to California or the Bay Area specifically, feel free to drop me a text, give me a call, send me an email, because when it comes to helping you transition to California and the Bay Area specifically, I got your back. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows to show it to other people with interests such as yourself. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you know each and every time I do a new video, and I'll catch you in the next video.